We are live. We are live. Good night, everyone. How are you? I hope it's a great Wednesday night for everyone. This is Joe again. We're having yet another episode of the Joe Knows NFL Review Preview. This is where we review the week two games from last week, and we're going to preview, or I should say, I'm going to preview my take on the upcoming games for week three of the NFL schedule. It was yet another awesome week in the NFL. I've got my dog Melvin here looking at me already. Go, boy, go, boy, go. He so badly wants to be on the show. Melvin loves to be a part of the show, even though I don't really let him be on it. But anyway, this is another great week two, bookended yet again by great games. It was yet another really great, fun Thursday night game. Not so great if you're a Giants fan. Myself, it was not a happy ending. If you're a Washington fan, it was a great ending. And if you're just an NL fan in general, it was just a great game to watch, a lot of fun. And then the Monday night game was okay between the Packers and the Lions, but I'm really talking about in terms of the other bookend. It was really the Ravens and Chiefs game Sunday night. Melvin, go, boy! I'm live. I'm on TV. I've got millions of people watching me. Melvin, you're embarrassing me right now. I love you, but you got to go. Go, 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 go. Melvin, I'm on TV right now. Go, 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 go. Good boy. Oh, he's being a pain tonight. He hasn't been walked. I have to take him for a walk after the show. Anyway, so great games. A lot of good games on Sunday as well. We're going to get to those in a second. But don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Give us that five-star Apple review because we deserve it. And after this show at 10 o'clock tonight, around 10 o'clock tonight, it'll be Dollars to Deuces, which is our weekly betting advice with both Nate and Rich. It'll be on after the show. And I say around 10 o'clock because that's when it's scheduled to go on. But Nate and Rich, like me and the rest of us, we work normal jobs, and sometimes we have differing hours and we can't always make it on schedule. So, and also speaking of schedule, this show is normally really it was originally scheduled to start at 9 o'clock. I'm talking about my show that we're doing right now. I'm going to be starting it at 8:30 going forward, so I'll change the schedule that you'll see. That's the schedule that we have pinned on our the tweet that we have pinned with the schedule on our Twitter feed. It says 9 o'clock, but I'm going to switch that to 8:30 just because I need to wrap this up within an hour by 9:30 to give Rich and Nate like a half an hour to prepare for their own show here in StreamYard. So we'll be 8:30 going forward. And before we get to today's content, just a reminder, I do at 8 a.m. on Sundays, I do an NCAA program where I review the Saturday games in college football. And this Sunday, I'm going to have Shane Hallam on to basically just review the first month of college football and mostly his take, what he feels is going on in college football right now over the past month. I want to pick his brains. The guy is very knowledgeable. I'm trying to become our in-house NCAA expert. I'm not there yet. It's going to take me a little while. I think I know more about college football than most people out there in the world. But there are definitely some like Shane who know a lot more than I do. So I'm trying to get better, trying to get more knowledgeable. I'm coming along, but give me a little more time. But Shane is the man. He's our NCAA consigliere. And so I'm looking forward to picking his brains this Sunday morning on the Shane Hallam segment of my Sunday Cup of Joe Knows or Sunday Cup of Joe show. Anyway, let's move on. What we're going to do right now is we've got what is going on here? Okay, so we have the review of the week one games coming up right now. This wasn't supposed to be a ticker. That's why I'm confused. Okay, let me get rid of that right here. The first game, Thursday night game, Washington football team defeated my Giants 30-29. It was a phenomenal game to watch. It was a heartbreaker for me, but I took a lot of positives out of this. I'll tell you, it's funny. Joe Judge, head coach Joe Judge for the Giants, last year, pretty much I'd say 99% of the Giants fan base would have run through a wall for that guy. We were all happy with how the team progressed last year. They started off poorly. They were like 1-5, 1-6, something like that. And then the second half of the year, I think they went 5-3. We wound up only 6-10, but the second half of the year was much better. The defense played very well throughout most of the year. And the offense, the second half of the year actually started coming along. It started getting much better, it started getting more consistent. And so there was a lot of hope coming into this year. I was keeping my enthusiasm a little tempered somewhat because I still saw a lot of holes on this Giants team. Leo Williams needs help in terms of another stud pass rusher. He can't do it all on his own. They drafted Ojulari in the second round. The guy just turned 21 years old. He's not going to be able to, I think he's only going to be able to bring so much to the table right now, but they need more on defense, and they certainly need more on offense in terms of the offensive line. Saquon Barkley is back. I think he's going to get better as the season goes along in terms of his recovery from the torn ACL last year. I think he will get better as the season goes along. Daniel Jones has good weapons to work with as long as they're healthy. Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and we'll see what happens with rookie Kadarius Toney. But I wouldn't expect too much from Toney this year, to be honest with you. You should see him more and more as the season progresses, but I'd temper your enthusiasm on Toney for this year. He was a raw product coming out of college. But between Golladay, Darius Slayton, and Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard, these are good weapons. And Ingram, too, when he comes back. He'll be back soon from injury as well. These are good weapons. This isn't an elite offense. It will not be an elite offense, but it should be a good, steady, productive offense that we haven't seen in a long time with the Giants if they can stay healthy. Also, if this really banged up offensive line, which is young and inexperienced, if they can just give adequate protection for the most part, I think Daniel Jones is going to have a really good year. So as a Giants fan, I was very encouraged by the performance of the offense. But it can't be a one-time thing. Jones needs consistent protection. It doesn't need to be an elite line, but it needs to be adequate. He needs at least more than 2.4 seconds to throw the ball and from the pocket. So, it was encouraging. And with the defense, I know Giants fans were really pissed off, and I get it because you're sick of and tired of losing like 7 out of the past 8 years. This is not a complete team, okay? We've got a ways to go, but I do think things are going to get better. And the defense has not looked good for the past 2 games, but at least it's not due to injuries. And I really think that Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator, will turn things around. I don't think it's going to be an elite defense, but it's going to play a lot better. I think it's going to wind up being more in line of how it performed last year, like more of like a bend don't break defense. And I saw lots of room for improvement from the defense. I think they're going to do. I think they can do it, and I think they're going to do it. So I'd be surprised if Patrick Graham this upcoming game against the Falcons didn't switch things up and just really like patch holes and just get the defense just being better overall. I really have a lot of confidence in Patrick Graham. But anyway, this game, Washington, Tyler Haneke, or is it Taylor Haneke? Heineke is the last name. Young quarterback, came in, did a great job, led the way for Washington. He was clutch. McLaurin had a great game. Diami Brown, who was a rookie wide receiver, I think they took in the 3rd round. I was very high on. He had a very nice game as well. The tight end, is it Logan Thomas, I think is his name, had a really nice game as well. Gibson was pretty decent as well. Their offensive line looked good, Washington. And, the defense, I think the defense was kind of overrated for Washington coming in. It's a good defense, don't get me wrong, but I felt it also had weaknesses like we saw against the Giants in terms of, pass defense. So, but I think the line is really good, and Washington has a lot to look forward to. I think Heineke looks good, but he's a young quarterback. The Giants were not able to get pressure on him at all. I think other defenses will. So we'll see how he goes going forward against better defense with a better pass rush. But Heineke looked really good, and it's really encouraging for Washington. So they're 1-1. The Giants fall to 0-2 in the NFC East right now. Everyone's 1-1. Except for the Giants, who are 0-2. But so far, no one's running away with the division, even though I think the Dallas Cowboys will eventually, in short order, run away with the NFC East. But we'll get to that later. Anyway, on to the next game. The Bears. And also there was Golladay had some words with offensive coordinator Garrett on the sidelines. But as a Giants fan, I'm not concerned about that yet. I don't like that type of stuff. I don't like that type of behavior. But you know what? I kind of want to see the players getting sick and tired of losing too. I understand standing up in front of the media after a loss and saying the right things, but I think they might be getting tired of that crap, and I hope they are. And listen, you got to listen to your coaches. I think this is a good coaching staff, and quite frankly, you guys you started rebuilding 2 years ago, Giants. All right, and you're going to need more time. You still need more pieces. You're not there. I mean, I think you're there to be a winning team with a winning record, but I don't think you're going to be some elite team or anything like that. So I think the players are ready to win, and they need to stop to learn. They need to learn how to stop losing. They need to learn how to win, and the Giants aren't there yet. I think it's going to come. I think it's going to come sometime this season, as long as they don't suffer any more injuries along that offensive line. I think winning will come for the Giants. But like I said, you got to learn how to win, and the Giants are, for the most part, a young team. They're not there yet, but I think it's going to come. Anyway, moving on to the next game. The Bears defeated the Bengals 20-17. The big thing in this was that Justin Fields made his first appearance after Andy Dalton went down with an injury, unfortunately for Andy Dalton. But um, but Justin Fields came in, and now he's going to be starting this upcoming game in Week 3 because Andy Dalton is out, so the Justin Fields era is beginning. I assume even if Dalton were to come back healthy Week 4, I would assume it's just going to be Justin Fields going, here on out. So good for the Chicago Bear fans. They must be super psyched, and they got their first win of the season. They're 1-1. We'll see how Justin Fields develops over the course of the year, but he's definitely a quarterback that us NFL fans are very much looking forward to seeing this year. And it's going to be exciting to see this upcoming game that we will get into in the second half of the show. And moving on to the next game, Browns versus the Texans. Browns took care of business, 31-21. Landry, some big news in this game is that Jarvis Landry left with an injury, and as did Tyrod Taylor. But Landry leaves with an injury, and I think he's out. He's out this week as well. He's going to be out for Game 3. OBJ is supposed to be coming back this week for Game 3. Browns really are going to need him. I don't think Landry's out for long. I think he's supposed to be out for a few weeks. But OBJ is coming back. He needs to perform, for the Browns. I don't expect him to be 2015 Odell Beckham Jr. anymore, but he needs to come back this season and put up a really nice season for the Browns. He's been injured for them the entire time that he's been there, and they need him. This team is ready to make a nice big playoff push, and they're going to need the receivers too this season, not just their excellent running game. They're going to need the receivers. They need OBJ to be something close to 2015 OBJ, and they need Landry to be Landry. Landry is always a reliable wide receiver. He reminds me a lot of Sterling Shepard, just a gamer who's very reliable. And but OBJ, I'm not saying expect greatness from OBJ this game because it's his first game back in a year since an ACL tear. But just he needs at some point fairly soon. He needs to show up big, start showing up big for the Browns. They're gonna need him. They can't just rely on this excellent running game. They need competent. They need a threat of a receiving game as well to complement it. And if OBJ and Landry can do that, the Browns can make a long, big, huge playoff push this year. So I'm looking forward to that. So they took care of the Texans. On the Texans side, Tyrod Taylor went down with an injury. He was replaced by Davis Mills. So I think Davis Mills threw a touchdown actually in this game. But Davis Mills will be starting in Week 3, and not too much is expected from him. He was not. I think he was a third-round pick this year for the Texans. He wasn't a highly touted quarterback coming out, but he is a quarterback who has a lot going for him. He's a talented young quarterback. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's ready, to really get a legitimate shot at starting. I think it would have been ideal to, see him maybe sit for, most of the year at least and learn the game from the sidelines. But his shot is here. Let's see what he can do. No one was expecting anything from Tom Brady back in 2000 or 2001 when he got his shot. But then again, Brady was on a much better team anyway. So Davis Mills will be scheduled to start Week 3. I'm looking forward to it. I feel bad for the Texans fans, everything they've been with over the past year, where their team has just been, like almost intentionally imploded from the inside. It's ridiculous. And I'd love to see Davis Mills, really do some good for this organization. So I'm rooting for Davis Mills. Moving on to the next game, the 2-0 Rams defeated the 0-2 the now 0-2 Colts 27-24. This was a good game, and it was closer than I thought it was going to be. The Colts fought, man. They fought really hard. And at one point late in the game, the Colts were up by field goal, and the Rams came back and won. And listen, the Rams are a better team. The Colts they're a solid team. They've got a good defense, a good offensive line. They don't have great wide receivers, but I think they're okay. But I think they're good enough. They're okay enough to help Carson Wentz as long as he's healthy. To help Carson Wentz, put up points and keep this offense competitive and keep them in games, which you saw here against a really good defense that the Rams have. And the Rams are as a sound team, as a well-balanced team as you'll find in the NFL. They're really good on defense, really good on offense. And the Colts hung in there. And I was a little surprised that they really hung in there that long. So I do think the Rams are a class above the Colts. But Carson Wentz, bad news that Carson Wentz suffered 2 ankle injuries. I think one was just minor, not like a really that big of a deal. And then he was actually playing on like that, minor injury, ankle injury for throughout most of the game. But it was near the end of the game where he suffered a more severe ankle injury. So we'll see what's going on with Carson Wentz. I don't think this is not definite. I don't think Wentz will be starting this upcoming Sunday. I could be wrong about that, but keep an eye on that. It doesn't sound good for Wentz for right now. It doesn't sound like major injuries, but it sounds like something that's probably going to keep him out for this upcoming game. But Wentz did have a good game. He did. Unfortunately, injuries, and that's just a thing that's been plaguing him throughout his career is injury. So hopefully it does not last that long. Hopefully, if he's out, Wentz only misses one game and that's it. The Colts are 0-2, but they're a really good 0-2 because they're a really good team. And they've had two very tough games to start off this season so far. Moving on to the next game, the Bills come back after being upset last week by Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Bills come back. They're now 1-1. They destroyed the Miami Dolphins, one of the teams that are. I'm a Giants fan myself, but the Dolphins are one of my backup teams. They destroyed the Dolphins, who are now 1-1, 35-0. They also knocked Tua out of the game. Tua's got, I think, at least one broken rib, maybe a few more, but I think it's one. I think it's one broken rib, but he's out for the near future. I don't think it's going to be all that long. I don't know how long it's going to take just yet, but it's already been announced that he's not starting this upcoming Sunday, and it will be Jacoby Brissett who's taken over. So the Dolphins, they took a big hit here with Tua. I know they wanted to see a full season out of Tua, and whether he did well or didn't do well, at least it would give him an answer as to whether or not he is, give them better ideas whether or not they feel that that he's the quarterback, their franchise quarterback going forward for the future. But he got injured, and hopefully he doesn't miss too much time, and he'll be back fairly soon. Because I'd like to see Tua play, and so for the Dolphins can find out, they can figure out whether or not he's actually a franchise quarterback. That's what a lot of this year is about for Tua. So we'll see. Moving on to the next game, the Patriots absolutely destroyed the Jets 25-6, but Jets, it's okay. This should be expected. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the NFL, Zach Wilson. Yeah, every rookie quarterback eventually has to go up against Bill Belichick once. Well, not once, but for their first time. And that first time, it's almost always, if not always, an embarrassment. That's just what he does to rookie quarterbacks, especially the first time that he's seeing them. So 25-6 is not a surprise at all. Mac Jones had a nice, clean game. It wasn't anything fancy, to be honest with you, but he looked good, and his stat line was nice and clean. I don't think he had any interceptions. I believe he had one passing touchdown, or maybe it was. I think Jones had one touchdown. I don't know if it was passing or rushing, but he had a nice, clean stat line. And Mac Jones doesn't have the best weapons to work with either, to be honest with you. But he looked good. He looked good in the pocket, and so good for Mac Jones. Zach Wilson, don't be disheartened. Every young quarterback has to go through this the first time they're going up against Belichick. You got Belichick, as I have down here in the blue bar, baby. So it happens to the best of them. And so I don't think there's anything else, stats-wise, to really call out about this game, to be honest with you. There was nothing eye-popping about it by any of the players. So we're going to move on to the 2-0 49ers defeated the now 1-1 Eagles 17-11. This was a good game. This is a good game, man. I'll tell you, Philadelphia is tough. And this defense is looking, Philadelphia's defense had a really good game week 1, and now they went up against the 49ers and had yet another very good game, in defeat, but still the defense had a really good game. And the Eagles' offensive weapons didn't really do much, but they're going up against a very good defense in the 49ers, so there's no shame in that. And it's also the Philadelphia's offense is also very young, so it's not a surprise. They're going up against a bunch of young players. A bunch of their best players are young, like Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, and Devonta Smith, and Gainwell. And you know what? They went up against a defense that knows what it's doing in the 49ers. 49ers took care of business in a low-scoring game, 17-11. Big storyline for the 49ers is that the running backs are dropping like flies. They already had a few injuries before the start of the season in week one. Now, Elijah Mitchell went down, Trey Sermon went down, and Jamaica, I forgot how to pronounce his first name, but his last name is Hasty. They were basically the backup running backs. They left the game with injuries. So I don't know what's happening with these three guys yet. I don't know if Mitchell is out for a long term or Sermon or Hasty. I'm not sure. But if they're looking for running backs on the street, the Baltimore Ravens already picked them all up. So I'm not sure what the 49ers are going to do here. We'll see. But you know what? I have full faith in Kyle Shanahan that he's going to, whatever running backs he comes across, he's going to make it work. I have full faith in that man. So I'm a big Shanahan fan. Absolutely love that guy. Moving on to the next game, the Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders. I so badly want to say Oakland, but the Las Vegas Raiders are 2-0. They defeated the Steelers, who are now 1-1, 26-17. I didn't see this coming. And I'm not crapping on the Raiders. The Raiders are actually another one of my backup teams that I root for, but I thought going into Pittsburgh, and I don't think Pittsburgh's a great team, and their offense kind of scares me. I'm not crazy about their weapons. I think Roethlisberger is, definitely old on the old side. Not on the old side. I think he is old. And I think he's looking old. I think he plays old. But I think going into Pittsburgh against Pittsburgh's really good defense and pulling out a win is important. And especially after beating Baltimore last week. And I know Baltimore was banged up. They were dealing with, a slew of injuries to their running back core and their best cornerback. But still, beating Baltimore is not easy, even when they're banged up. Raiders took care of business last week against Baltimore in a crazy-ass game, but it was a great game. Raiders pulled it out, and here they took care of business in Pittsburgh. And that was without Josh Jacobs, their number one running back. And that's someone who they usually rely upon. And so they did it without Jacobs. Derek Carr looked phenomenal for the second week in a row. Derek Carr has over 800 passing yards so far in just 2 games in the season, over 800 passing yards. Henry Ruggs III showed up. He's very inconsistent, but he showed up. He had a great game. He was well over 100 yards. I think he had a touchdown as well. And as I say here in the blue bar, the Steelers are always looking very pedestrian. They have pretty good weapons. It's not the caliber that it used to be when they had like Antonio Brown in his prime and Le'Veon Bell in his prime. We're even going back to Santonio Holmes. Like the current wide receiver core and running back core are not that high of caliber. So, if I'm the Steelers, I'm a little worried I think you guys are going to wind up making the playoffs this year, but I would definitely be worried about that offense. I think it's looking kind of shaky and looking kind of pedestrian. But Raiders, you're looking great. You're looking really good. Your defense is looking good. And you know what? Alex Leatherwood is looking good. He was, a guy who was drafted in the first round. I think like this 18th pick overall, if I recall. 18th pick overall in the first round by the Raiders. And, the Raiders are getting pretty much lambasted for that pick, that it was a reach. I actually liked the pick. I thought Leatherwood was a really good pick at that point. And this is a guy who could play left tackle and right tackle, or possibly move into play guard as well. And he's playing very well for the Raiders. So Derek Carr is getting a clean pocket, or at least cleaner than he used to get. Derek Carr is getting time to throw the ball, and Derek Carr is showing what he can do. And the Raiders, silver and black, you guys are looking awesome. Raiders fans, Raiders Nation, be happy, be proud, enjoy what's going on right now, because I think you guys are looking like the real deal. Okay, the Panthers, talk about the real deal. A team that's doing their rebuild right. The Carolina Panthers are now 2-0. They destroyed the Saints, who are now 1-1, 26-7. And I say good. I don't have anything against the Saints. I don't have anything against any NFL teams. I don't really care. It's just that, the Saints have been so good for so long. And what I got tired of was pretty quickly last week when the Saints, beat the living stuffing out of the Packers. And quite frankly, to me, it was clear that the Packers just didn't show up. I mean, I know that the Saints have a good defense, but it wasn't like this is the 1985 Bears we're talking about. And then you look at the stat line where Jameis Winston, who I'm rooting for to have a bounce back in his career at New Orleans, I'm rooting for the guy to succeed. You look at that stat line last week against Packers, and he had 5 touchdowns, but it was like on 189 yards. I'm like, something doesn't look right here. Something's scary here. Where you would think you'd have like 500 yards passing, if he had 5 touchdowns. So I thought that game, I chalked that up to just Green Bay just not showing up and just not mentally showing up at all. And I think I was proven right here because the Saints just got the crap kicked out of them by the Panthers. The Panthers are a good young team who's doing their rebuild right, and they are solid. They are balanced. They are a very well balanced team, Carolina. I'm really impressed with what Matt Rule is doing there. I thought he had a good year last year as a rookie, and I thought they really nailed their draft. For me, I thought the Panthers had like one of the top 3 or 4 drafts overall in 2022. I thought they really nailed it. And even the year before that was good too. But I thought not 2022, I thought 2021 was an excellent draft for them. They really nailed their picks and they're protecting Darnold. Darnold looks fantastic. What a surprise. You give a quarterback an offensive line and he looks good. That's amazing. I get sick and tired of seeing young quarterbacks putting these crappy positions, whether it was Sam Darnold with the Jets or Daniel Jones with the Giants, and who knows, maybe it's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, where you get these quarterbacks, like the beginning of a rebuild, and you give them nothing to work with, no O line, and like no weapons, and or even like if you have one weapon like a Saquon Barkley, the guy's injured. And so you have no help, and you've got an entire fan base, all the media looking at you to carry everything on this team when the whole team stinks. And so I'm happy for Sam Darnold. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you because I really get disgusted by the situation that young quarterbacks have put in where they're given crap to work with. And then a fan base and the media are asking, what's going on? How come you're not winning games? Good for you. Panthers, you did a great trade to get Sam Darnold. You didn't give up too much to get him at all. You got him. He's looking great. Obviously, you have Christian McCaffrey there, who's another Superman, just like Lamar Jackson. He's the best weapon in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion. And you have pretty good receivers. You could stand to improve that receiver corps, but they're good enough for right now. They're good enough for right now. They're good enough. And your defense is looking really good. Love it. So you guys are looking solid. I'm glad you took care of business against the Saints. And the Saints, I'll tell you, your team looks a little scary right now. Because obviously Breeze is retired. Michael Thomas, I think, is on the PUP list, and who knows what's going through that guy's mind? I don't know. He's got like this Antonio Brown thing going on. It's getting kind of scary, to be honest with you. And then even Kamara, your offense was so bad that somehow you made Kamara look pedestrian. And Panthers fans, don't get me wrong, your defense looks really good, but I think like if Kamara is going to look if Alvin Kamara is going to look pedestrian, it's really going to have more to do with the rest of the Saints offense being crap, and it is crap. They've got no wide receivers. Everyone, some people were talking about Marquez Callaway. Marquez Callaway looks like a bust or not a bust. I mean, I never understood why people were touting this guy to begin with, just because Michael Thomas was out. People were hoping or expecting that Callaway was going to come around and be like the next great Saints wide receiver. He's not looking like it. He's not looking like it right now. They have a lot of problems. And I'm sorry, I think the Saints defense is good, but this isn't 1985 Bears we're talking about, okay? I think Saints are in for a really long season. I think it's going to get ugly. And don't be surprised if you see Taysom Hill take over soon for Jameis Winston. And I'm rooting for Winston. But man, it looks ugly, and I think Taysom Hill is not an NFL quarterback. He's not someone I would want as my number one quarterback. But you know what? They might have to go that route. If Jameis looks like this ineffective, like the next 2 weeks, I think they're going to make the switch to Taysom Hill. So I don't think they're going to have a choice. But I think Saints, I think you're in for a long season, and I'm not saying that to rub it in. Like again, I've got nothing against any NFL team, but the Saints offense looks like absolute crap. Okay, moving on. The Broncos taking care of business, man. They're 2-0. They defeated the Jaguars 23-13. They took care of business big time against my Giants last week. They looked really good against the Giants. I also thought the Giants offense looked like crap with, Barkley coming back for his first game after an ACL tear last year. Galladay, coming on for his first game against the receiver as a Giants receiver, but he missed all of preseason in terms of not being on the field because of injuries. So I thought that I wasn't surprised that the Giants offense looked rusty, but the Broncos defense looks good and the Broncos offense looks good. I wasn't really concerned when they lost Judy. The Broncos lost Judy. I guess it was last week, to injury. And I had a feeling Cortland Sutton was going to step up and have a monster game, and he did it. I love Cortland Sutton. I think this guy is actually, if he's healthy, and that's been a problem of his, I think Cortland Sutton can be like a top 8 wide receiver in the league. I think he's that good. He's such a good wide receiver, but he gets injured quite a lot, and he's also played with very mediocre quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater looks fantastic, and him paired with offensive coordinator Pat Shermer is looking phenomenal. They work so well together. Bridgewater seems like he has total control of this offense, and the Broncos have some other good wide receivers as well. But Cortland Sutton is the man. He had a monster game. I realized it was against the Jags, who are a young rebuilding team, but still, Broncos are looking smooth. They had a fairly easy start to the season, let's be honest, in terms of the competition against the Giants and the Jags. But whatever, they're taking care of business. They're dominating. So good for you, Broncos. Good for you. Bronco fans, be happy. You should be. You should be excited. You guys look really good. And Bridgewater is looking phenomenal. I love it. I really like offensive coordinator Pat Shermer. I think he's a stand-up guy. I think he's a really bright offensive mind. I liked him when he was the head coach for the Giants, but I didn't like that he was both the head coach and the offensive coordinator for the Giants. He needed to be the head coach. He couldn't be doing both. The Giants defense was just looking like crap, and it looked like he had no control over that at all. So they made the switch to Joe Judge. But I like Pat Shermer. I think he's a really good human being, and I think he's a good offensive mind. And I'm glad to see that he's having good success like he deserves, like I'm not surprised about in Denver. Moving on to the next game, the Cardinals looking for real, man. 2-0 Cardinals defeated the 0-2 Vikings 34-33. This was, as I have here in my notes in the blue bar, Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray. He is having a phenomenal season, possibly the best overall season for any quarterback this year. I realize Derek Carr's got like over 800 passing yards, but Kyler Murray he's got a lot of yards in the air as well as yards on the ground with his legs. His receiving core is really good, and the Cardinals are clicking. My man Rondale Moore had something like 117 receiving yards this game in only his second game in the NFL, and I believe he had one touchdown as well. And so he had a monster game. I assume the Vikings focused on shutting down DeAndre Hopkins, and they did do that. Hopkins didn't do much this game, but Rondale Moore had a great game. Murray had a great game. The Vikings made this really close, and I'm not surprised by that. The Vikings are a very solid team, and they've got really good. They have a really good offense themselves. And but Dalvin Cook had a monster game as well, and I believe that he twisted his ankle, but I think Cook is expected to play this upcoming weekend. But keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on it. But Cook, who's got a history of injury, unfortunately, did apparently twist his ankle. I think it was just not a serious twist. Like he should be able to play this upcoming weekend, but keep your eye on that. Also, Isaiah Simmons. Myself, I've got the Isaiah Simmons watch going on. He was kind of being labeled as a possible bust after his rookie year. I didn't believe that for a second. Too talented. He had 8 tackles this game. I think he's got a total of 18 tackles this season. Isaiah Simmons is looking like the man. Moving on to the next game, Buccaneers are 2-0. They defeated the 0-2 Falcons 48-25. It was a nice bounce back game by Matt Ryan. They put up 25 points. I'm not surprised. The Buccaneers, people might be saying, oh, the Buccaneers defense is like, they think there might be some chinks in the armor there. I don't really think so. I think it was just Buccaneers were just kind of laying back a little bit, and they had this game in hand, and it's nothing against Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan and his weapons are capable of putting up a lot of points in some games. I think other games are going to get shut down. I don't think they're that talented, but I think plenty of games Matt Ryan will be able to put up a lot of points. But I'm not worried about the Buccaneers defense. I think they let up a decent amount of points against the Cowboys last week, but the Cowboys are a serious offense. I think in this game, the Buccaneers they were rocking and rolling and whatever. I think, 25 points by the Falcons, not a big deal, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be worried about the Buccaneers defense, in my opinion. Okay, the Cowboys. Speaking of the Cowboys, they're 1-1. They defeated the Chargers, who are now 1-1, 20-17. Actually picked this upset. I believe the Chargers were favored, and I was picking the Cowboys all the way, and they won 20-17 in a really good close game. The Dallas defense is looking good. This is 2 weeks in a row where they played very well. Now they let up a good amount of points against the Buccaneers last week, but this is the Buccaneers. who have a phenomenal offense in Tom Brady and Gronk and Antonio Brown and Mike Evans. And I mean, you can go on and on and on. So, letting up the amount of points that they let up last week, I forgot with this, I don't know if it was 35 points or 30 points, I don't remember, but there's no shame in that against the Buccaneers. That was a great battle against the Buccaneers last week. Now, Dallas defense only lets up 17 points against the Chargers. And I actually kind of wasn't surprised by that. There's something about the Chargers where I'm just not like, I love Herbert, but there's something about the Chargers I'm not buying into this year. I think he's going to put up his yards. There's something about the Chargers offense that just feels unfinished to me. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't explain it yet, but Cowboys defense is looking good. They've got a new defensive coordinator in Mike Quinn, I think his name is. Well, the last name's Quinn. He was the head coach for the Falcons for a bunch of years, and before that, he was the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks when they won their Super Bowl, and he had the Legion of Boom. And but he's the Cowboys' new DC, and their Dallas defense is looking good. Micah Parsons played defensive end for the first time, and he got a sack. I'm telling you, Micah Parsons is going to be an absolute perennial stud in this league. This guy, I think, can do anything. He's supposed to be an inside linebacker, middle linebacker, and there was speculation that he could wind up being played at defensive end. Dallas did it. He had a good first game. Their secondary is looking good too. Diggs, their cornerback Diggs is doing very, very well. So Dallas, he had a good game. Also, Dallas, you could look at the stat and the score and say, oh, Dallas only put up 20 points. Chargers have a very good defense. So I wasn't too surprised that this was a low-scoring game, actually, even though these are two potent offenses. It was a good game, and Dallas pulled it out. They're 1-1. I think Dallas is going to wind up in short order taking control of the NFC East. And I think Dallas, in my opinion, is probably the third best team in the NFC after the Buccaneers and the Rams. I think Dallas is up there. And we'll see how this defense continues to progress. If it continues to progress and at least be pretty decent, they may wind up being just as good as the Buccaneers and the Rams. I'm saying that right now. If the defense can be, pretty good, not great, but pretty good, I think Dallas can be as good, as dangerous as Tampa Bay and the Rams. So I think the Cowboys are going to be like the third best team in the NFC by playoff time. I'm really expecting a lot from them. Okay, moving on. Titans defeated the Seahawks 33-30. These two teams are so similar, it's scary. But it was a monster. You had monster games by Derrick Henry. I think Henry had 3 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett put up a whole bunch of yards. And Julio Jones for the Titans had a nice bounce back game. He had something like 128 yards receiving, and the Titans were able to pull this one out. I'm not surprised. These two teams mirror each other. They're so well. They both have good running games. I'd say the Titans definitely have a better running game in Henry versus Carson. Nothing against Carson, but he's not Derrick Henry. I'd say the Seahawks have a better passing game. They have better receivers and a better quarterback in Russell Wilson, even though that's not a knock against Tannehill or AJ Brown or Julio Jones, but I'm definitely going with the Seahawks passing game and quarterback over the Titans, even though I'll take Derrick Henry over Chris Carson any day. But you know what? Both their defenses suck. Both of their defenses suck. And I think the Seahawks and the Titans have very definitive ceilings. They'll probably both make the playoffs. I think the Seahawks will definitely wind up making the playoffs. I would not expect much from them this year in terms of making playoff runs from either team. They really need to improve those defenses. I was scared by what I saw with the Seahawks last year, in the second half of last year. Defense was horrible. The offense started looking like crap. Russell Wilson started looking pedestrian the second half of last year. And so I don't believe Russell Wilson's pedestrian. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't look great the second half of last year. But Seahawks really didn't do anything to improve their defense this offseason. And the Titans were trying to, but they're not there yet. So I think these two teams, I'm not surprised by that score, 33-30. It seems so perfect. Okay, so Ravens. Oh, what a game! That Sunday night game. My man, Lamar Jackson. I love you, Lamar Jackson. I love that you've got these haters that have sprung up over the past year saying you can't pass the ball, you can't pass the ball. In my opinion, you can pass the ball. You've never been given a great wide receiving core to work with. Good, decent players in Hollywood Brown and now Sammy Watkins, but you need like a real true number one. Hopefully Rashad Bateman, your number one pick, your first round pick, can be that eventually when he comes back from injury. And hopefully by the middle of the year or the end of the year, he's showing that he's like a number one caliber. I think he can do that. But if not this year, I think Bateman will prove that out by next year. But anyway, he still needs more help at the wide receiver. Now his entire running back core got decimated before the start of the season. They still have good guys though. They have Tyson Williams. They have Latavius Murray. Devontae Freeman's up now as well. Freeman can still play as a number 3 running back. Freeman's just fine, and they've got Le'Veon Bell down in the farm system right now, waiting to be called up. That guy needs practice time. He hasn't played in a long time. I love Le'Veon Bell. If and when he actually goes to Baltimore, when they call him up to the NFL, to Baltimore, I think Le'Veon Bell's got a chance to have just like Antonio Brown. I think Bell can revitalize his career. I'm still saying that if the Ravens give him the chance. But like Coach Sheps had pointed out recently, I think maybe on an episode last night, where a lot of people are saying, oh, Latavius Murray is going to take over as the RB1 in Baltimore. I agree with Coach Sheps. I think it's going to be Tyson Williams is going to be the number 1 running back in Baltimore, and I do think Latavius Murray is definitely going to get a healthy share of snaps. I have no doubt about that. But I think Tyson Williams, who was a Ravens running back, who they've been grooming and they were high on to begin with, is going to be the number 1 running back going forward. So Baltimore, what a game. I can't go into too much. I'm running out of time here. I still have to go through the next week's games, but man, I'll tell you, Lamar, I love you. You've had haters coming out for, like the past like half a year saying that Lamar, all he does is run, blah, blah, blah. But here this man takes, still doesn't have a true number 1 wide receiver. It looks like with Mark Andrews, they're probably using him more as a blocker now. The offensive line's not what it used to be in Baltimore. They used to have a great offensive line, like the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Eagles. The Ravens were right up there for a long time with their offensive line. It's not what it used to be. And now he's got like the backup running backs in. And here is Lamar Jackson taking over this friggin' game against the Chiefs and winning 36-35. And this guy just put up a superhuman performance. I'm so proud of him. I'm really proud of you, Lamar. I got your back, man. I love you. I see what you do, man. And, I hate the haters. I hate the haters and their nonsense. Lamar, good for you. You're awesome. And Tyson Williams and Hollywood Brown, they both had good games. Brown, I forgot how many yards he had, but I don't remember if it was over 100 or a little under 100, but Hollywood Brown had a really nice game. And Tyson Williams, the running game for the Ravens had, Lamar, I think, had like over 100 yards rushing himself, well over 100 yards. But if you took away his running production, I think the rest of the Ravens running backs still put up like 150 yards on the ground. So not a surprise. The Ravens always know how to run the ball, no matter who they throw out, no matter who they throw out there. The Ravens always know how to run the ball. And the Monday night game, Lion fans, your team put up a really good fight. I saw that game. Jared Goff looked phenomenal. He looked so good. I'm really happy for him. But the 1-1 Packers defeated the now 0-2 Lions 35-17. The first half of the game was really good. Hey, Lions, you're a rebuilding team. I think you're doing your rebuild right. It's going to take a little while. It's the beginning of a rebuild, but I'm really impressed with the way Jared Goff looks. He was a guy who had it rough. He was in one of the teams that was one of the best teams over the past 5 years. Every year they were up there in the playoffs in the LA Rams, and now he's traded over to Detroit, who's going through a rebuild, and he has looked so smooth. He has looked so good, Jared Goff. So I'm really proud. I'm really happy for him, and I'm happy for the Lions too. So I think your rebuild is going well. Just hang in there. Give it more time. I think Dan Campbell looks like to be the right man as a head coach for you guys. I love his personality. And they hung in there against Detroit, who was looking to come back after that embarrassing ass loss against the Saints last week. And they hung in there with the Packers for the first half. Aaron Jones had a monster game, 4 touchdowns. There were big games also by Devontae Adams of the Packers. But Hawkinson, the tight end for Detroit, also had a really nice game too. And I thought I was worried about him this year because he lost his big time wide receivers in Galladay and Jones, who left as free agents, and he doesn't have any of the proven wide receivers there, to open things up for him. I thought Hawkinson might take kind of regress a little bit in terms of production this year, but no, he's chugging along. Hawkinson had a really good year last year in terms of production, and then this year, games 1 and 2, Hawkinson's keeping it up. He looks great. So, Lions fans, I think you have a lot of good stuff to work with. You just have to give it some time, another draft class or two, and some key free agents. And I think you guys are going to be rolling. I think you're heading in the right direction, Lions fans. I really do. So now let's move on to the preview of next week's games. Let me get rid of this over here. I'm going to do my share screen. I'm usually kind of slow with this. Okay, we're going to do share screen, window, boom, boom. I'm getting a little better at this. Okay. All right, Joey. Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so first, before we go into next week's games, my week 2 results with the spread and straight up. So with the points and straight up. I was 8-8 with the spread. I definitely did worse this week than I did in week 1. Week 1, I think I was 10-6 with the spread. But this week I was 11-5 straight up. Last week, I think I was 7-9. So the year-to-date results: I'm 18-14 with the spread, and I'm 18-14 straight up. I'm very well balanced on this. This is incredible. So, so now we're going to dive into the week 3 picks. My week 3 picks: Panthers at the Texans. Panthers are giving 8 points. Panthers, I'm taking the Panthers giving the points, and I'm taking the Panthers straight up. Washington at the Bills. This is a tough game for me. The Bills are giving 7.5. That's the current line. Now I'm going to revisit these picks Sunday morning on my Sunday morning show. That's called Cup of Joe. I'm going to revisit these picks with the updated lines. But right now, with the current line, it's 7.5 points. The Bills are giving 7.5 points. The game's in Buffalo. As of right now, I'm taking Washington with the points and the Bills straight up. But I might take it. Don't be surprised if I wind up going to the Bills, just not just straight up, but also the Bills to win, even giving the points, because I could see the Bills defense getting to Heineke. He's a young quarterback. I could see the Bills defense getting to him, rattling him. So I have to think about that one right now. But off the top of my head right now, I'm going Washington with the points and the Bills straight up. Okay, Chicago at the Browns. So the Bears at the Browns. The Browns are giving 7 points. This is going to be Justin Fields' first game. I'm going to stick with the Browns, giving points and Browns straight up. It's Justin Fields. I think he's a talented kid, but it's his first full game as a starter. So I'm going to go with the Browns, straight up and giving 7 points. Ravens at the Lions. Ravens are giving 8 points. I'm taking Ravens giving the points and Ravens straight up, even though it's in Detroit. I think the Ravens are rejuvenated from that awesome victory against the Chiefs. I think they're ready to roll. I think they're ready to go on a nice streak, and I think they're really going to take it to the Lions this week. So I'm taking the Ravens giving the points and straight up. Colts at Titans. The Titans are giving 5.5 points. Originally, I was taking Colts with the points and the Titans straight up, but this is probably going to change on Sunday morning. I don't think Wentz is going to play, even if he is. The idea that he's got some sort of sprained ankle, I don't like that at all. But as of right now, I'm taking the Colts with the points and the Titans straight up. Chargers at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are giving 6.5 points. I'm taking the Chargers with the points, and I'm taking the Chiefs straight up. Saints at the Patriots. The Patriots are giving 3 points. I'm taking the Saints with the points and the Patriots straight up. No, you know what? I'm changing that right now. Right in front of your eyes, people. I'm taking the Patriots. No, you know what? I'll stick with that. I'll take Saints with the points. I think the reason being is that, listen, I think New England's a very mediocre team. This has got nothing to do with Mac Jones. I just think New England's a very mediocre team. I think the Saints offense looks like crap. I think Kamara's going to have a really nice bounce back game. I know Belichick is going to completely, have his defense focused on stopping Kamara, which means they probably will. But nah, you know what? I am going to switch this. Man, sorry I'm going crazy here, people, but I am going to switch this. I'm going to take the Patriots giving the points in New England. So Patriots giving points. So I'm taking the Patriots straight up. I'm taking the points. The Patriots giving the points. I think they're just going to win. I think the Patriots will win by more than 4 points. The Saints offense scares the living crap out of me. Okay, moving on. Falcons at the Giants. The Giants are giving 3 points. I'm taking the Falcons with the points and then taking the Giants straight up to win. So far, I know I'm trying not to be a homer, and I don't think I'm being a homer and making my picks for the Giants, but this is the third week in a row I picked the Giants to win. And I do think the Giants are going to win this game. I feel very strong about that, but I am not picking them to win by more than 3 because the Giants never beat anyone by more than 3 points. So if I got to see it first before I can believe it. So I got to go with the Falcons getting the points, but I'm going to take the Giants straight up. The Bengals at the Steelers. The Steelers are given 3 points. I'm taking the Steelers giving the points, and I'm taking the Steelers straight up in this game. Cincinnati's got to prove to me that they can keep up with the Steelers in Pittsburgh. If this were in Cincinnati, it would be different for me. But they're playing in Pittsburgh. Cincinnati's got to prove to me that they can hang with the Steelers in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to take Steelers giving the points and the Steelers straight up. Cardinals at the Jaguars. The Cardinals are laying 7.5 points. Cardinals, I'm taking Cardinals giving the points. I take the Cardinals straight up. I love the Cardinals. I think they look phenomenal, and I think they're going to put a beat down on Jacksonville. Jets at Broncos. Broncos are giving 10 points. You know what? I'm going to take the Broncos. I'm going to change this. I'm taking the Broncos giving the points, even though 10 points is a lot of points. I'm going to take the Broncos giving the points and the Broncos straight up. I might change that Sunday morning, but right now I'm going to go with the Broncos giving the points and the Broncos straight up. I'll tell you, Denver, you've had a really soft start to your season. We'll see how it goes when you go against harder teams, but I am impressed with the team. I'm not knocking you. I'm just questioning that your first 3 games, Denver Bronco fans, your first 3 games have been very against very easy opponents. So, but right now I'm going to stick with the Broncos straight up and the Broncos giving 10 points. Okay, Dolphins at the Raiders. Raiders are giving 4 points. I'm taking the Raiders giving the points and the Raiders straight up. I don't think the Dolphins have a chance with Brissett. I think Tua needed to be in there. Not that Tua looks to be a great quarterback yet, but I don't know. Brissett is, Jacoby Brissett is a quality backup. But it's at Las Vegas. I'm going to take the Raiders giving the points and the Raiders straight up. I'm going to stick with this. Buccaneers at the Rams. The Buccaneers are giving 1.5 at Los Angeles. I'll take the Rams getting the points, and I'm going to take the Buccaneers straight up. I do think it's going to be like a 1-point game. I do think it's going to be a 1-point game. I think the Buccaneers are going to pull it out. I do think the Buccaneers are the best team in this conference, and I think they're going to want to prove something against LA. And don't get me wrong, I think LA wants to they want to show up and prove something against the Buccaneers, but I'm going to take the Buccaneers in LA, but man, that's got to be the game of the week, definitely. Seattle at the Vikings. The Seahawks are giving 1.5. I'm taking the Vikings with the points. I'm taking the Vikings straight up. I think the Vikings are due for a win here, as long as Dalvin Cook is okay. I don't think he's got a serious injury, ankle injury. If it's not serious and he's pretty much okay, I'm taking the Vikings in this game. I think the Vikings are due for a bounce back win. And I think the Seahawks defense will have a very hard time containing the Vikings offense. So I'm taking the Vikings. I'm actually kind of surprised that Seattle's laying 1.5 at Minnesota. So I'm going to take Minnesota with the points and Minnesota straight up to win, to pull the upset. I think they're due. Packers at the 49ers. The 49ers are giving 3.5 points. I'm taking the Packers with the points and the Packers straight up. I think 49ers are. I believe in Kyle Shanahan in that even though all of his running backs are injured, I think Kyle Shanahan is fully capable of grabbing any running backs, throwing them out there, and having them look decent in his offense and succeeding. But I think the Packers are getting ready to roll a little bit, and I don't think the Packers are an elite team in the NFC. I think there's probably there's at least 3 teams that are better than the Packers in the NFC. I do not think the Packers are an elite team at all. I think they're an elite offense with their wide receivers and Aaron Jones and Rodgers, but I definitely don't think their defense is all that great. Hopefully it improves over the course of the season, but I have a feeling the Packers are going on a bit of a run here after the win against the Lions. I think they're going to go on a bit of a run. I think the Packers are going to upset San Francisco at San Francisco. So again, I'm taking the Packers with the points and the Packers straight up to win in this game. Just got a feeling about it. Eagles at the Cowboys. Cowboys are giving 4 points. I'm taking the Cowboys giving the points and the Cowboys straight up. I think the Eagles have looked really good so far this year. But Jalen Hurts is a young quarterback. Devonta Smith is a young wide receiver. They're relying a lot, at some really key positions, especially quarterback. These guys are young. They're relying on young players. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the firepower of the Eagles, and I think the Eagles will definitely win by more than 4 points. And it's going to be a good test for that Eagles defense. Let's see how good it really is, because they're going up against the Cowboys, who have as much firepower as anyone. So, but I'm taking the Cowboys, giving the points and straight up, and I think the Cowboys are going to start pulling away with the NFC East. And is that it? Is that the last game? All right, looks like that's it, everyone. All right, so we're done for our third episode of the NFL preview review, or I should say review preview. Hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time. And again, on my Sunday morning show, we're going to revisit these picks. Let me check out the comments over here. All right. Hey, Joel. Good to see you, my friend. Hey, Joe. Oh, great stream. Thanks, Joel. I really appreciate that. Oh no, Bill. Oh no, Bills both ways. Are you taking the Bills? What given the points? You taking the Bills given the points, Joel? I like the Pats. And Joel says that he likes the Pats both ways also. So yeah, yeah. I have to go with the Pats. I think the Saints look like crap, my friend. They really do. So the Giants are playing the Saints too soon. I know the Giants obviously are playing the Falcons this weekend, and then I think the weekend after I think they're playing the Saints. So Giants better take care of business against these two teams. They better look solid, Joel. They do, and I think they will, Joel. You and I, we talked about it on our show, on our episode last week, when we were trying to offer some solace to our fellow Giants fans. I think the Giants, I think the Giants are going to start coming along. I really do. I think Patrick Graham is going to get that defense sorted out, and I think the offense is going to continue to click. Yeah, next week we play the Saints. That's what I thought. And I think the offense is going to continue to click as long as that O line can keep, a clean pocket for Daniel Jones for at least 2.5 seconds. I think we're in business, Joel. I think we're in business. But that's it. Hey, that's a wrap for this episode, everyone. Joel, I'm going to be in touch with you sometime soon. Let's do some more Giant stuff. I got to do some more Giant stuff. I love doing Giants content. So you and me, man, let's get together sometime soon. But everyone, it's been a great night. I got to wrap it up here because we're going to have Dollars to Deuces coming up at around 10 o'clock. Okay, everyone, have a great night. Take care. And you know what? Let's see if I have an exit video here. Maybe I don't. Okay. Anyway, everyone, have a great night. Take care, everyone.